and Turner Kirk here from Smule as our panelists. And we want to kick it off with a little presentation from Turner.
Right.
Everyone will introduce themselves a little.
Oh, okay. You guys want to? Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to try and keep this as quick as I can. This is basically the Mule's primer in marketing and just greasing the skids to get the conversation going, sort of set the mood here. So we're here to talk about marketing, which you should say yay about because marketing is super fun. And the way that I like to define it, at least for my purposes, and there's really no true definition of marketing, is the outward expression of how a brand, product, persona wishes to be perceived in the minds of a segment of the world's population, and then of course with the goal of influencing them to do a specific type of engagement with the brand, product, or persona. So there's a lot of ways you can do that, obviously. And I like to think that marketing or PR starts with the vision of your company. I think that's pretty straightforward. You have to know what you set out to accomplish, understand your mission statement very, very well, be able to speak on that at length, and also refine your 30-second elevator pitch. That's very important because you'll constantly get asked, so what does your company do? By anyone, at any time. And you'll need to be able to say that in terms they can understand. So that's also important. Speak the language of your audience. So know who you're talking to when you're marketing, and make sure that you can present it in terms that they understand, whether or not that's how you speak or not. So there's lots of things you can market for. Customer acquisition, this guy's really good at that. You can build your brand image, you can market your products, you can market for hiring employees, that's important, finding partners, all of the things listed here, pretty much anything really. Just anytime you're talking about your brand, you're marketing. How can you market? Ad networks, email, all of these things. And basically, the takeaway from this slide is that goals and strategies could be developed for anything. So anytime, once again, you're talking about your brand, no matter what the sort of avenue is or where you're doing it, you can develop a goal and a strategy for that. Other ways to market, there's fun ways to do it. You can throw a party, happy hour, get people in the area to come hang out. You can use data in an interesting way. I'll show an example of that in a second. Make blog posts, kind of try to incept people, make a blog post somewhere that you think someone you're really targeting might check out, and make an interesting commentary on human nature with whatever you're doing, perhaps. Some things lend themselves to this more than others. And then definitely capitalize on trends relevant to your company or industry. So think about things that are happening that are relevant to you and try and find ways to get yourself known in that area. Who markets your company? Products, obviously. If you create awesome products that speak for themselves, then that'll do a lot of the marketing for you. And what we do with a lot of our apps is try and build something that's novel in a certain way, but also has long-term value. And that's the word-of-mouth hooks into your product that you can build. So make something that people want to talk about. Google's a great example of this. They're a search engine. How do you make a search engine interesting? Well, Google Doodles. Everyone knows what a Google Doodle is, but it's like, that's not, it's not a search, but it's something that a search could produce, and it's very interesting. I didn't know that the Bangladesh Independence Day was March 26th. The employees are very important. Create a culture of passionate people who embody the brand themselves. Smart people are great, and expressive people are great. If you get someone who's smart and expressive and very interested in what you're doing, that's even greater. This is Eat Club, this is a picture of them doing the Gangnam Style dance. We did a video where we asked a bunch of people that joined us in that. The community, if you have one, not everyone will have a community, but you could probably find one. Find out who they are, make them feel like they're part of the company. I've got some examples of this, and a big takeaway here is ask for feedback and love the haters. Someone is going to totally disparage your company and tell you suck at some point. Be nice to them and ask them why. They might give you some really interesting feedback. And the data and content your community generates is very important, so use it. Here's a good example of that. OkCupid did this sort of study. They trolled, had a bot look through a bunch of profiles, like 533,000 profiles, and found out the real stuff white people like. This is happening when the stuff white people say was popular. And so this is kind of an interesting commentary on words that were common in white people's profiles. They did this also for other races as well. And so it's kind of interesting, and you can see they got a lot of shares out of this, more than most of their other blog posts. Very cool. Here's the Beta Brands Model Citizen program. You can upload a picture and put the B glasses, they call them, on yourself, get a 10% discount, which is pretty good. Their clothes are, somewhat expensive, but if you take a picture of yourself already wearing their clothes and like it on Facebook, you'll get a 20% discount. It's really cool. Everyone wins. There's me wearing their clothes. This is the link that it generates, basically. It's something, they generate content off of your picture, makes it look like you're the star of the website. Who's Beta Brand's next supermodel, they say, and then you can share this with your friends. It's kind of fun. Here's another important thing, be an asset to your industry's community. Picture of Steve Jobs there because he was an asset. Establish yourself as a thought leader. You could do this if you're really into what you do, and I assume you all are. Create an aura persona, figure out who you wish to associate yourself with, other companies, things like that, and collaborate positively. A big one that I really like, network with a defined agenda. Don't go to a networking event and be like, I'm here to network, because chances are you won't learn anything, you won't provide anything. If you go to a networking event and you're like, I'm here to do this, this, and this, develop a strategy for that even, then you'll get a lot more out of that networking event. And of course, use your talents to help out others in your industry. Be nice. Okay, viral marketing versus brand building. You may have remembered this video campaign that Kixeye did. So, I'm not saying it's bad or good, but this is a viral marketing strategy. And so viral marketing strategies I see as kind of like one-offs, you either go big or you fail. And it's really hard to do viral marketing correctly. Brand building is like you're building your brand up over time and doing a bunch of things to do that. Anyways, this is a screenshot from that video, and lo and behold, the top comments 9 months, 7 months later are... So I don't know if Kixeye wanted to be remembered as the guys who had a, phallic object in their video at 2 minutes and 35 seconds in, or if they realized that when they wrote the copy for their About section that they made fun of cow clicker and virtual pet cuddling, that it would come back to bite them in the ass when Andrew Molnar decided to say, well, they suck actually, they're no better than cow clicker. So I'm not saying they do, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying it's interesting that those were the two things that people got out of this and got voted up and are now, 9 months, 7 months later, still the top comments. So be careful of that. Another example, shave the stash. This mobile billboard was only around for a couple of weeks, probably for a good reason, but this is an example of taking a shot at your competitor. This was Uber made this billboard campaign, you may have remembered it. I saw that and I was like, I don't know about that, that's kind of mean. Well, they messed with the wrong company because Lyft has a really amazing community, and the disco Lyft driver wrote this tweet, said, I'm proud to be a part of a community with a bit more tact in their marketing and recruiting. Lyft love, Uber failed. So I think that Lyft won a lot more out of this campaign than Uber did, unfortunately for Uber. So yeah, but they didn't run it for very long. On the flip side, Uber recently did a really awesome campaign where they put a kitten in their app, and you could actually pay $15 and get kittens at your office for like 15 minutes. It was a charity. They were trying to find these cats homes. So good job, Uber. Way to change your strategy. That's it for me. For now, anyway.
Way of intro, my name is Adam Landis. I work for a company called LifeStreet. We specialize in acquisition and monetization of Facebook and mobile apps, acquisition of users for Facebook and mobile apps. I was kind of roped in this at the last minute, really happy to be here. But I don't know exactly what you guys want, so rather than kind of give you a big old spiel, I'll wait for questions.
Thanks. My name is Seamus McAteer. I'm currently with Millennial Media and an old friend of Arte's, and I too was roped in at the last minute and have no idea what you guys want to talk about, so I can talk about just about anything. I've been involved in tech marketing for a while. I was formerly an analyst back when analysts matter. Back in around the last .com frothiness around 2000, 2001, I used to have tech coverage at Jupiter Communications, and it was a very different time for B2B oriented marketing. There was sort of a circular loop where, you know, you'd raise a bunch of money, you'd have a launch party, you put together your deck, and you go out and you talk to Jupiter analysts and Forrester analysts and Gartner analysts, and you'd buy their research. And then they would be references when you went out and talked to the press. And the tech press was very closed. And it was this circular thing that resulted in where it was this self-feeding kind of loop that ultimately devoured itself. You know, and I think what we're seeing this time around, it feels very frothy. Feels very 2001 to me, or early 2000, late 2000. But it's different because you can't control your message the way you could. It's not top down anymore, and media's a whole lot more ubiquitous, and you know, it really calls for a more creative, multi-pronged strategy to stand out. You know, and I've had some success thanks to Cindy, who was my CMO at MetaResolver. We sold that to Millennial, and she's running marketing on Millennial. I oversee analytics and data there. I also founded a company called M-Metrics, which Comscore acquired. And it's their mobile piece of their business. And there I learned the value of just coming up with standard metrics and feeding that beast every month with the self-same numbers, particularly things that change. You see people publishing these reports. It's ubiquitous in that. And anyone who has logs summarizes the logs and throws them out there. And they never friggin' change. It's the same shit. You know, oh, iPhone 4S is like #1 device. I'm like, oh, thanks for the insight. So if you're going to publish data, just make sure it changes. It's got some velocity to it. And, you know, don't think you're an analyst. You know, because analyzing data and drawing insight from data is actually hard. You know, and it's hard to find that talent. That's all I got.
But for starters, Seamus is quite modest. I think every startup that you either founded or were part of was acquired. So, an amazing track record. So maybe just to help everyone, and we do appreciate both of these guys coming in last minute because we had 2 last minute people had to cancel with plane flight issues. Maybe with the show of hands, people could say whether they're, how many people are working on a consumer-oriented startup? How about, are you targeting, how many startups are targeting enterprise or enterprise segments?
How many consumer-oriented startups want to make money by selling their data? That seems to be the, yeah, there's a few, yeah. It seems to be the latest.
And then, are any of you guys...
In your opinion, how much money can you make selling data, or what size you have to be to actually
Well, you know, you can have a great exit if you've got compelling data. Like Anavo just sold to Facebook for 125 mil, and you know, they had a VPN essentially that speeded data access. It was an app that reconfigured your VPN settings. It was a great exit. The addressable market for packaged data for marketing intelligence is generally 1% or to 2% of the market. So if you're looking at, say, mobile advertising, it's a, what, $4 billion market in the US. So 1%, 4 billion is what, 40 million? Yeah, 40 million. 40 million is about the market for marketing and direct syndicated data, right? You just sell data. Then you've got, you know, maybe a little bit more than that in early stage markets, but I think Comscore right now is probably doing around 20 and you know, then they're probably half of the spend, and you know, so I think generally when you're looking at a market, it's about 1% to 2% is spent on marketing intelligence, you know, data, primary and secondary marketing.
Did you say that's a mature market though?
Which data? Or
No,
marketing?
in my opinion.
What and what?
So, in mobile right now, the data.
Do we need this?
Can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah.
In mobile right now, the problem is there's not enough data and people are buying in incredibly stupid ways.
Right.
So I think that I agree with you that, actually I don't know if the addressable market, the mature market is 1%, but I'll tell you that there is a significant opportunity for people buying smarter and buying more intelligently.
Absolutely.
In the market.
Absolutely, but
Short long term.
I'm drawing a delineation between strategies for, like, you know, tools to optimize spend and, you know, enterprise type CRM, and you've got a whole class of companies building attribution modeling solutions. But then I'm just talking about primary and secondary marketing intelligence, market research, media measurement, syndicated data. The syndicated data business globally, if you add up the revenues for the top 10 companies, or the top 5 companies, what is it, Nielsen, Kantar, ComScore would be one of them, Ipsos, Innovate, they acquired Innovate, GFK, probably talking 10 billion to $15 billion.
So how much money do you want to make is the question.
So, you know, and you're taking, that's probably 80% of the business. So the fact is that there's massive change happening as we move from a market defined by anecdote to one, and sort of panel-based metrics to one that's based much more on analytics, making use of free data. That's why I'm asking for consumer apps, how many people are trying to monetize the exos? And you know, we've seen that in analytics and a variety of other businesses.
So the folks doing consumer apps, I mean, consumer, I guess, user acquisition is one of the biggest issues you're facing in the market center. Would that be fair? Or do you guys have recommendations for how to go about acquiring users?
That's true.
Yeah. How many of you are actually interested in acquiring users?
Yes.
Maybe fine.
One more time.
We do that too.
That was a dumb
question.
question. How many of you are interested in acquiring mobile app installs, users to your website, users to your application, users of your product or service? So about the same. Tips. So tips. Let's see. So I guess I can start with what I see that people are doing well. People are doing really well. The people who are doing well understand the lifetime value of their user, understand the ROI of buying a user, and that includes a time frame in which they can actually consider the lifetime of the user. The companies who are doing really well know how to test their market without blowing their entire budget. So Canada is one of the most famous places right now where people go by in Canada to figure out what is the lifetime value of a user, what's going to succeed, what's not, how do we tweak the metrics of our application in order to buy. It's an expensive market, but it's kind of like a mini US in terms of how it operates, so it scales well to the US. Companies are doing a very good job. Let's see. Let me say, the companies that aren't doing a good job, well, the basic ones find that they have a hit, and then they realize they have no way of monetizing it. And it's really hard to start monetizing your hit once it's already out in consumers' hands. The companies that end up catching themselves in this circular, vicious circle of buying more users and needing more growth, but not really being able to monetize the users they're buying, gets very expensive. And the companies, big and small, that I've seen fail recently are the ones who end up getting in this vicious circle, just buying more, spending a bunch of money, blowing all of their funding, no matter if that's bootstrapped or VC funding, and then tanking because they haven't been able to figure out how to make a positive revenue model. There's a lot to be said for a model that actually makes money and is in the black out from day one. How's that for a start?
What about Smule? How much do you guys spend to acquire users?
We spend a lot.
How much?
Yeah. I don't know the exact amount that we spend.
$4
are you talking like month? Oh, you
No, how much do you pay to acquire a user?
Oh, it depends on the channel. But you know, we aim for like 50 cents.
50 cents.
So that's another really good.
And that's of course organic and paid and everything else.
That's for paid acquisition. Yeah, I guess for like the acquisition channels, like the stuff that he works on, and like Facebook and mobile ads. Our goal is to get under $1, and hopefully more closer to 50 cents. It's kind of awesome.
That brings up a really interesting point, is that channels make a big difference. You can acquire a user, and that user is not the same over. I've talked to people that buy a user on Facebook, it's worth 10x a user anywhere else. 10x on ROI means you can spend 5x easily and get it back. So you test different channels. Today I looked at a graph that came up. One of a big company, a big mobile company in the space, gaming company, uses our service. They showed it to us. We're number one in terms of the LTV that they get. So they come in buying and say, hey, I want to buy 50 cents. And we say, that's not going to kick it against everyone else because everyone else has found out that the LTV is much higher. So you got to be able to spread your test budgets elsewhere because channels aren't the same.
Yeah, like 50 cents is an anomaly. Like most folks are spending, for mobile app acquisition, $2 to $5.
Yeah.
But it depends. I mean, that's part of the content you have to create. You have to create content that will grow organically, will grow through acquisition.
What percentage do you see of new users that come in are based on what you bought versus using some other method of the product?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, the goal is always to get users who are worth more than what you're paying for them. We've had that, like, that's why we want it to be 50 cents, because at that point then generally we will be making money. And we've only had some luck with that. Like, we've had a couple of video ads that I think there's some voodoo involved or something, I don't know why, but they are like really low CPIs, and the lifetime values are actually positive for those people. So you know, we're still refining it, of course, everyone is, and we've come a long way since the like botnet days, where you know, buy users and like they just never open the app, or who knows where they right, who knows where they came from, but you know, you got to the top of the charts, woo! And
I
then,
know, it's incentivized, I think incentivize that one. Can be part of the mix if you want the PR value from being number one.
Right. Well, there's also the organics that you get from being number one. Most users will never pass the first page of the 10 recommended apps. So if you get up on that, you'll start getting organics. And now, it's worth noting, if you guys don't know this, Apple and Google hate that. They hate it.
Yes.
And what the winners do is they know the algos, they know the game to play, and everyone kind of has to massage the rules in order to succeed. You know, how to do it.
Do you see other, I mean, outside of the pay-per download or pay-per users, what other ways you're getting, I mean, your Smule or other apps you guys are part of getting users in, that you could find that are effective?
Yeah, I mean, so video, originally videos were really, really important for us, but you know, as YouTube has changed, we use YouTube mostly for our video stuff. As YouTube has changed a lot, our video views, you know, when we first were putting out videos, we could get some pretty good number of views if, you know, use certain tactics to do so, but now it's like a lot more competitive. YouTube's totally changed the way they work and the way that, you know, people, your stuff is visible. There's tons of people using it now, and so we're trying to find some new avenues to do that, like Instagram. We're going to test some things out, but yeah, we basically, a lot of our stuff in terms of organic is we try and grow our community and let our community sort of do a lot of stuff for us.
Just to interrupt, does everyone know what his apps are?
Yeah.
Does anyone not? You all do. Okay,
No,
so
I
videos.
don't. What is it?
Music.
Okay.
Music.
Yeah, I should have showed the video.
If there's videos, then, I mean, like, not everyone can have an app of a video on YouTube.
Right.
That makes sense. So tell me what you guys do.
Right, so we make mobile music creation apps. So our first big one was called Ocarina, and it's like a little flute you blow in your phone and you can play it. I mean, I could You want me to do a demo real quick here?
It's pretty cool.
Okay, might as well. Yeah, we have a really good video for this. It's approaching like a million views. So here we go. We'll just play a little ocarina here.
So you have a band. Didn't you guys just have this?
I'm in the band. Hold on, I gotta put it in Zeldarian mode here. It's the app seems to be acting up right now. But let me turn this up. So it's like this is flute. You blow into the microphone. I'm trying to get it into a different
it's so awesome.
mode right now. Anyways, it's not letting me tap
So
this button.
I think when you say videos, it's important there is that not many people can have
He crashed.
an app.
Well, this app's really old, so it's not a little rickety. Yeah, anyways. And then you can listen to people around the world who are playing as well. Like here's Alyssa Dayson-Nyers playing the Zelda theme. And there's a little globe that you can see where they're doing that. Our newer apps, we have another one called I Am T-Pain, which was kind of auto-tune on the iPhone. And it was, that kind of spawned a whole generation of karaoke apps that we've been doing. And now we have one called Sing Karaoke, which is like a social network for singers. And we've taken the vocals in the Sing app, and now we have a guitar app and a piano app that you can pull the vocals in and play piano or guitar along with them, basically on Rails. So it's like collaborative music making. So it lends itself really well to videos, I think, is the moral of the story.
Right, so you found basically a distribution model that wouldn't exist. Like, no one wants to watch me play Angry Birds. But if I was good on that thing, maybe they would.
But there's some things you could do with Angry Birds, like, the music or whatever. People really get into that music of video games, right? So if you had someone who was, you could pay Mike Tompkins to do like a vocal edition of the Angry Birds theme song and like put that on YouTube. But you'd be paying
their
them.
plush toys. That was
Plush toys, yeah.
Well, the plush toys is how to make money.
Yeah.
That's their monetization
Yeah.
vehicle. They make money on merchandise.
And theme parks.
Yeah. They've got kids advertising their brand all over freaking San Francisco.
Exactly.
My kid's he wakes up with Angry Birds. It's not his pajamas. I think like that's a unique sort of viral hit. And the fact is that, like the consumer app economy, it's a hit-driven business, but there are some companies like Smule that can build multiple franchises. Angry Birds is like a single.
Yeah.
But it's very Darwinian. Like there were tons of Snapchat clones before Snapchat came out.
Right.
And that was, it's just, it's so hard to sit down and put together a model for create here, advertise here, success on the other end.
And a little bit of harsh reality for you guys, something that you mentioned earlier, Seamus, which is things are frothy right now. We are at an incredible high in terms of cost of acquisition. It's really expensive to acquire users out there. You guys know that. But in terms of what you're dealing with and how you're up against, it's tough because I heard a big games manufacturer on a panel go, look, I can spend on average 3 times what a single publisher can spend, because I can take that user and I can, on average, monetize them across 3 separate apps with cross-promotion internally. So the harsh reality is you're up against the big budget guys who are making, essentially, they're buying the user for 1/3 the cost because they can monetize them 3 times as much. So cross-promotion, it's tough to do and it's tough to scale because there's not a lot of companies out there that make a lot of money off of it, but that's an option as well.
What about B2B? Anyone here doing sort of direct to enterprise? They're trying to build an enterprise. What do you guys do? What are you trying to do? What are some of the challenges you guys have?
Well, we're in beta right now, but we have even a challenge just acquiring beta customers.
Yeah.
So I think the major challenge is just legitimization of your business at this phase, and it's just questions around viability. Where are you going to be in a year?
Yeah.
We're bootstrapped, So that's an added challenge. So we don't have the large backing to ensure our survival at that time necessarily. So
Is there a specific reason why you're bootstrapping?
just that's the phase we're at. I feel like for us, part of this is validation of our own idea, just seeing it through the beta phase, and I think also just positioning ourselves to have a stronger story when we get funding.
Well, what do you do?
We have a collaboration platform for enterprise, and it's basically we match people up with opportunities in an internal marketplace. So startup's called Rally Team, and basically we're trying to help teams within large organizations, instead of going external for resources that they might have on a particular project, we're tapping into the internal workforce and pairing up people who are willing and interested to do extra work with these teams that need that extra capacity.
That's interesting. Like, I honestly think that there's a hunger today in enterprise for new, fresh ideas. The challenge is, and like people want to be the first to experiment with new things. And you're right, getting that validation without having a brand name somewhere in your lineup. It's not a founder, it's a VC, or it's, like I can get that if I got a measurement product. If anyone's got a measurement product, hey, I might look at it. I can get that validation pretty quickly. Just because it's an old saw, I've been playing forever. But, so I think that it's a challenge, and it's not, it's a one that's definitely surmountable if you've got something cool, because what I see happening, for example, in media, right, which is, I now head up analytics at Millennial Media. We launched this thing. I've been there a few months, and I was like looking around and trying to think, looking at our data, and I was like, I need to provide some bright, shiny objects for salespeople. And media salespeople, they like bright, shiny objects. They got attention spans and nets. By the way, I only hire Republican salespeople and Democrat analysts. You gotta be a Republican. You just, if a salesperson sits down with me and I say, how do you define success? If they say anything apart from money, I don't want to, this conversation is over. You gotta be, but what, so we came up with this idea of I was like, well, we can measure the outcomes from a mobile ad in a whole host of ways. People can go and search online, so we'll figure out a way to sync up with ComScore so we can see what people did in the PC. People can go and buy something at retail. I found this company called Placed up in Seattle, and basically writing checks to David Shim every week to track people who visit stores in response to an ad. People can spend money, so we're doing a sync with Amex to look at a lift in terms of Amex spend. But we had this thing that was half-baked, beta at best. We had the Millennial name, but you present that to brands, and they want to be the first to use it. And they want to be in the release that talks about the case, they want to be part of the case study. And I think that's a reality today in enterprise. In enterprise, you got all these people sitting in enterprises.
Agreed, but the fact you have his name,
it helps. But I could have done that. You can be someone who has done stuff in enterprise software. You can have a variety of brands you lead with. It can be you as a founder. It can be your backer. It can be you pull in a big name advisor who can walk you in and say, listen, these guys have something really cool.
or just partner. Partner with a company who's willing to have you build something for them that's in the same model, and then you can basically you get a free customer. You're gonna have to build a product for them, but then you can learn a lot about the quid pro quo there. Take that and roll it out elsewhere.
Yeah, you can do NRE.
You look at a lot of the organic enterprise products that either came from someone who knew the market, betting off, or they came from an internal tool that worked.
Yeah,
It was spun out, that went out to the market.
what about like so enterprise in the sense of doing like SDKs and APIs and that kind of thing, like even the ad stuff? How do you go about acquiring developers and users for that?
I think it's hard. Like for the ad stuff, the only thing developers care about, the only way developers will adopt something is if it's going to help get them reach, right? Or if they're going to see their shit deployed, right? The only way an ad SDK gets deployed is if they notice it. You're going to make money, right? So you need, we've got a massive sales team. Without a sales team in mobile advertising, our results are public. We'll do, I don't know what we'll do this quarter, but it's hundreds of millions of dollars. We're the largest monetization vehicle for mobile advertising, for app developers. So, but it's starting out from scratch. I've got an API, I'm on the board of a company in Ireland called OpenMind Networks. And we've got awesome tag that all the carriers use. We want to bring it to app developers. It's just for moving data around between server and app and between apps, just moving. It's kind of like urban airship, but much more flexible. And and it solves a bunch of problems with managing state and managing sort of just movement of data between apps. It's all the shit that people spend all this time developing, and we can take care of this problem. And yeah, we're having that issue. Like they're using my network, they're using their own network. They're in Ireland. They got like 10 guys they can call to, our buddies in Dublin, right? It's hard work. And as soon as you get some success, you gotta nail it. But like it's very like Lair. Lair killed it because they got the guy from TechCrunch. Arrington is an investor. Arrington made sure they won TechCrunch this year. It's sleazy stuff, but hey, it works.